detectives, what kind of rundown is this?
I told them all to bear witness to the technicians. Our label Blood Raw Dizzle Vision, special edition. Dope tracks with that dope composition. Frequently send out a frequency of mental transition so that we overstand the devil's wicked transitions. Yeah, that devil slick, went from master to a master's degree. He went from Yale to Harvard to MIT. Most of my niggas ain't got a GED, ain't got that general equivalency, but we all got them felonies in the system of white privilege with all of his jealousies. Remember Oscar Grant, young male black, handcuffed, shot in the back by a bark trap. The whole country's watched it go down. Trayvon Martin died for standing his ground. Kidnapped Sandra Brown, knocked Mike Brown down. Damn, I wish the Black Panthers were still around. It's all in my blood, hear the hustlers and thugs. Sweep that bullshit under the rug, come from the mud. Loyal to the soil, Bay Area blood roar. You're making my blood roar, the church is in turmoil.
Welcome to a Secrets of the Rabbit Hole Media Network. This is a Secrets of the Rabbit Hole podcast. I'm your host, David D. Harrison, along with my cousin, Kori McCoy.
Together, we speak the unspoken on police misconduct and provide a platform for impacted families to share their truths. How deep does the rabbit hole go?
Let's talk about it. Yeah, we're joined in the studio with Ansar Mustafa, along with OG Cutthroat. Welcome.
Thank you for having us on this segment of the rabbit hole.
So Kori, bring us into the topic that we're talking about today. I believe we're talking about this reoccurring badge bending.
We're going to jump back into the badge bending, cousin. We want to start talking about where is the outrage. And so what I want to do is I want to give you and Brother Mustafa a list of some of the culprits in this tragic play that's been going on in Vallejo. So we obviously have former Chief Andrew Boudreaux, who knew about the badge bending.
He knew, definitely.
He definitely knew. We have former City Attorney Claudia Quintana. She definitely knew about the badge bending.
She knew.
We have Bob Sampayan.
Definitely.
He was aware. He is the mayor of Vallejo. We have the entire command staff, including Lieutenant Nicolini, as well as Darden.
Come on, they knew too.
We're going to get to Solano County District Attorney Krishna Abrams a little later.
But I know that you want to also get into when did they know.
And when did they know? So who we're going to start off with is the city manager, Greg Nyoff.
Okay, let's talk about
Now,
him.
it's been just less than a year ago that city manager Nyoff, not only once but twice, once at a city council meeting and then once again in an NBC report exclusive interview, Mr. Nyoff was asked about the Vallejo Police Department and its penchant for brutality towards the citizens. And his exact words were, he did not see a problem within the city of Vallejo's police department as it relates to excessive force.
Well, then he's a shapeshifter, because there is there's a video that says that he thought, now there's the video out now where he's saying, hey, we need some help down here with this police problem.
Right. So what we have out now just came out earlier this week. It was Fox, KTVU, Channel 2, beset by police misconduct, Vallejo proclaims a public state of emergency. And before I let you guys go ahead and dissect City Manager Nyoff and kind of the shape-shifting that he has done in this situation, let me read a quote from him as he decided to institute this public safety state of emergency. He said, I quote, "We face a crisis of legitimacy and trust, lack of community trust in the police department, numerous internal investigations, and resistance to reform by the Vallejo Police Officers Association, which is their union. This is a man that in the past has steadfast with his alliance with the Vallejo Police Union. He has refused to acknowledge the problem of Vallejo policing within the facts, knowing that they are the highest use of force police department in Northern California and the third in the state What do you gentlemen have to say about that?
Well, I'm gonna let Brother Mustafa came to. Yeah, you remember you came to the meeting with us where we came to the city council meeting.
Right.
You seen while we were there how, along with Oscar Grant's family, along with Stephante Clark and his family, and along with Angela Ramos and her family,
Right. Jamila Land.
Alicia Ramos.
Alicia Ramos. There was outrage in there because they, the city council members there, looked at us like we were coming with something, that we were lying on these people, saying that they were justified. They felt like they were really justified in what the police did. They stood behind them 100%.
Right. Chief among them, City Manager Nyoff. Would you agree? Cuz,
Well,
I mean, they all perpetrated that look of, we don't have time for this. We want to get you and your 3 minutes over with so we can talk about what is on our agenda. But to hear City Manager Nyoff actually come out now acknowledging that there is a problem within the police department.
Sounds like that they advocate now. And it's crazy because how do you shapeshift and be against something and then be for it in the next breath? It makes no sense. So there is it's confusing, to say the least. But one thing that we as a people are not confused about is what happened to Willie McCoy February 9th, 2019, and what happened to Ronell Foster February 13th, 2018. They were murdered by police officers who were operating under the color of state law.
Right.
They were let loose on the city by this city council that we looking at.
And so you referred earlier, you mentioned that the Ansar had been to several council meetings with our family, as he is family. And I'm interested in knowing, what is your take, knowing now that when you were at those council meetings more than a year ago, the council themselves, the city manager, the city attorney that we saw sitting up there,
Right.
the mayor, they were offices in those eyes looking down like they knew nothing.
Well, first of all, that's what should have been really expected to do, under the circumstances of what they were being accused of. But, they're going to play stupid. They're going to make it seem like we're exaggerating a situation that occurred in regards to Willie, that most people have been desensitized to. Of course, us as family, we're going to be on the front line. We're not going to be hush mouth about this. But so they, and then of course also it was cameras in the city hall that particular meeting. It wasn't like we were just in there. Because as we all know, when situation changed later on during the proceedings, we saw it on the news that night. We saw ourselves on the news. So in regards to them playing stupid, they all sat there knowing what had been occurring, and they made it to appear as if we were coming to just disrupt their meeting, and we really had no reason to be expressing ourselves or getting at them like that.
Well, let me say this. I believe I know today what the diversion was. That was the diversion that night. And all through that week and that month into the end of the year was a diversion, because the one thing that they did not want us to address or to bring up to have them address was this alleged weapon that was on Willie's lap that we've never seen yet.
So, cousin, you talk about diversions being created, false narratives go along with that. Why do you guys think that now that we know what we know, the public now knows about this badge bending scandal that has been taking place for the better part of 2 decades in Vallejo, with their officers bending tips of their badge when they get a kill on a citizen? With the public knowing that, with the public having
knowledge of the Fatal 14
knowledge of the Fatal 14, with the public recently being able to see additional uncut video of Willie's murder, Why is there no outrage throughout this country when you can't see a gun, cousin? It literally looks like there is a man asleep in the front seat and he's just executed when he reaches to scratch his arm.
Well, if you take that same video and you take the average Joe to watch that video, but you take away the captions of that video, right?
Right.
And then not only do you take the captions away, but you turn the volume down on that video. Now, you go ahead and you give a dialogue of what's been happening with this Fatal 14 scandal right now, and then watch that. You'll see exactly. It makes sense now. See, it makes no sense the way that they tell their story in the report. It makes no sense because it's contrary to what's in the report.
Absolutely.
They've lied in the report because right now we prove every person inside of that city council is a liar because they knew about badge bending when we were advocating for some type of action with these officers in the murder of all of these black and brown men.
And Brother Ansar, do you believe that by Krishna Abrams, the Solano County District Attorney, recusing herself in Willie's case, that's a sign of she is trying to distance herself because she has clearly been outed by anonymous police sources that they were and she was in a meeting with them when badge bending was discussed.
Yeah, of course. See, what's going on now with her and Ryden, what's his name?
The city manager?
Yeah.
Nyoff?
Nyoff.
Yes.
What they're doing is trying to save their own self right now, you know? I mean, because they already know what's been going on and what they were witness to or have partaken in themselves. Right. So it's like, I'm going to save myself now. And they basically are willing to give up or at least lend evidence to support what's going on.
The reason why I bring up Krishna Abrams, the Solano County District Attorney, to you is because my cousin David, sitting across from me, has been adamant from day one that this has been an ongoing conspiracy and cover-up of guys. How responsible, how culpable is Krishna Abrams? You have to realize that she's been the Solano County District Attorney since 2014. So we're not talking about just Vallejo police murders, but any police murder or police officer using his lethal force weapon in Solano County, she has had to decide on. Not one time, as it pertains to a police officer using lethal force, has she decided to prosecute. If she was aware of rituals such as badge bending, how culpable is she, cousin?
Well, she knew. And you know, it's documented that she knew, as well as the mayor knew, you know, Nicolini knew, and Nicolini is now suspended for destroying evidence in the Sean Monterosa case. Come on.
Lieutenant Michael Nicolini you're speaking of.
Lieutenant Michael Nicolini. He
president of the Vallejo Police Officers Association, which is their union.
Same one and only. And also, you know, part of this scandal with the Fatal 14 and his badge bending.
So did you just say that
the mayor said he had seen bent badges on Nicolini's tenure? So if the mayor's
the mayor, I believe, was speaking about Michael Nicolini's father, the senior Nicolini, who was the chief of police for several years in Vallejo. The mayor, Bob, has been a almost 30-year veteran of the Vallejo Police Department, so I believe he was speaking on the senior Nicolini's tenure because it was the senior Nicolini, actually, cousin, that made the change in the type of badge that they went to. He brought it over from Oakland.
Well, here's the thing. Why bring him up in a situation that's geared around badge bending and the Fatal 14? Why bring up a person who's retired? Of course, and it just so happens that his son is now on suspension for destroying evidence.
And can you say that one more time? The president of the Vallejo Police Officers Union, one of their command staff, the person in charge of anything having to do with automotive, cars, accidents, which is why he was over the vehicle that the officer Jarrett Ton shot out of to murder Sean Monterosa. You're saying that the president of the VPOA is on suspension.
He's on suspension
for getting rid of evidence.
For destroying evidence.
Destroying evidence.
In the
wow.
in the Sean Monterosa case, he was disciplined and suspended for destroying evidence. Now, are we gonna believe anything that these officers say, or any report that they've made? And why hasn't there been an investigation? Why is Becerros and Krishna ping-ponging with Willie's case and with Sean Monterosa's case?
Well,
Why?
Krishna has recently selected the former Santa Barbara district attorney to come in and do Willie's case. He has we've talked about him on a previous podcast. He has a long history of not prosecuting police officers as well as destroying evidence himself in a recent case in the last 2 years.
Okay, let me slow this down a little bit. I want to ask Brother Mustafa some serious questions that's dealing with just us as a people in America dealing with these situations, knowing that these people know exactly what they're doing. This is not an accident. Right. They know that our rights are being violated every day. And every day we deal with it. And we deal with it because we are trying to be non-confrontational. So what is the remedy, and what do you think that the call is and where we come from in the street? What's the call now behind these incidents like this?
Okay. Well, that's a good question. What the call is in these incidents? Well, the call definitely is the call to come together and unite. That's real easy, you know. And what are we uniting for? We're uniting for the survival of ourselves as a people, you know, because these people are literally just taking us out. They didn't turn this into a sport, you know, yeah. Real talk, you know. We talking about badge bending.
Yes.
We talking about some police officers that are supposed to protect and serve all citizens, you know, no matter race, color, creed.
That's right.
According to what their oath is, even though we know in secret that it's not really that they're protecting the interests of the people that pay them, which happen to be politicians in most cases, and you know.
Well, badge bending is a ritual in itself, like a Illuminati blood ritual, or some sort of hocus pocus thing that they do to bring camaraderie and keep a secret.
Because they don't value.
If we kill somebody, we got to keep that between us.
Yeah, they don't value the lives of our.
And I think to call it a sport is very fitting, because as noted in the badge bending incidents in Vallejo, they were celebrating afterwards with beer and barbecue. And I know at most sporting events, people enjoy barbecue, beer.
Just like when you go to a baseball game, you know, or something, football. You know what they sell, beer.
Yeah.
You know,
and shit.
Hot dogs.
Yeah. Right.
You know, I mean that's what they do. That's the
well. Think about it. You know, it was not too long ago that they had an incident, and it was happening inside of the California state prisons, where guards were putting rival gang members in cages together and betting on who would kill who.
In Corcoran State Prison or Pelican Bay, specifically, that's where it was going on.
So why aren't these people who would see? You know, you see, if this was two dogs that they put in a cage to fight, like Michael Vick, they'd lock him up for years, strip him for his career and things like that. But when you have officers who represent the state, okay, and they misuse their authority and deprive any one human being, whatever you do to the least of my brothers, you've done to me. Because if you could take his rights and nothing happens, and you could treat him any kind of way, then I'm in trouble because I'm next.
Well, so cousin, you know,
I don't say nothing.
We do a lot of talking about the dogs, about the vicious dogs, that are killing people, killing our people. What do you have to say about the dog owners? Epidemic of police brutality against black and brown people, if not only do we hold the dogs accountable, but we hold the dog owners accountable.
They have to be held culpable. And if they're not held culpable, then how efficient will they be at enforcing laws if they're not held to a higher standard of those same laws that they enforced. Let's talk about that. Who ordains you to say that you have enough testicular fortitude and mental awareness, as well as a spiritual connection to the community, to do a job such as policing people, telling people this is how you do this or else?
Well, I think that's why it's very important that we do not let the city officials in the city of Vallejo, California off the hook. City Manager Nyoff, you do not get to flip and do a total reversal of your previous stance.
Shapeshifter.
Absolute shapeshifter. Chief Andrew Boudreaux, we know you're retired. We know you're working in an executive position for Pacific Gas and Electric.
He's a track star. He ran.
We will be coming for you. The Rabbit Hole podcast will be focusing on you and coming for you, Chief Boudreaux.
And all of your good boys who are standing down and standing by, listen, we have a new generation of melanated people of the diaspora. They are all waiting arm in arm for anything to affect one of us. Because for every one that you take, there will be a reprisal, and it will be tenfold.
To Mayor Bob Sampayan, the Secrets of the Rabbit Hole has recently had a couple of Vallejo residents reach out to us saying that you're not such a bad guy, that they had some interactions with you. And my response to them was, Mayor Bob Sampayan was aware of badge bending for several years, and he had the audacity, the gall, the nerve to look impacted family members in the eyes as if these police that he was protecting didn't harm these people's relatives.
They didn't do anything wrong. He took it like that people were there to disrupt the meeting that was going on about him spending approximately $100 million on a police station, which I remember
on
him...
his, quote, Hawaii 5-0 police station.
His Hawaii 5-0 police station. I was about to mention that. And so this would anger someone who just recently unzipped the body bag to find out, hey, look, we just seen all of these hoes that they put in Willie, how they disrespected him in that manner.
And Dizzle, can I have you address former city attorney Claudia Quintana, who previously, before retiring, before the heat got too hot for her to handle, she went public in blaming the press for negative articles about the city of Vallejo's police department and how they handle their police. She blamed it on the press. She has now headed for the hills as well, along with the fat man, former internal affairs lieutenant. Speak on them and how the seat got so hot. We now know that they knew about the badge bending at the time.
Okay, let me get into that, right? We were in so many city council meetings. We were with congressmen, different things in the wake of senators in the wake of Willie's death, because we were seeking justice, because we knew that Willie was murdered. Willie wasn't killed by accident, that Willie was murdered. So in the behest of all of this, all of these people that we were talking to were acting so surprised, like they had never seen the video, but they knew about the badge bending. And maybe they didn't want to see the video because they didn't want to be held responsible for these officers that they had unleashed on the citizenry of Vallejo, California. And they were running amok, killing people, committing crimes, so and then they try to treat it like we're dealing with officers who were underpaid, they didn't have proper training, and maybe if they just had another 2 weeks of training that they'll be better officers in a bigger police station. But that's not the issue. The issue is that these are murderers in a gang called the Fatal 14, and they are doing blood rituals to initiate. They have to kill they killed Willie.
And let's be clear, we always have to remind people of the ballistics. We're talking about the Vallejo, California Police Department. We're not talking about people in the midst of committing a crime. We are talking about unarmed, innocent people. 19 Vallejo police kills in the last 10 years. Yes, I said 19 Vallejo police kills in the last 10 years. You hear officers talk about they went their whole career
Without shooting.
Never having to draw out their gun. But yet, the Vallejo Police Department has multiple officers with multiple kills on their resume.
And just to add to that, wouldn't that raise the eyebrows of their superiors saying, wait a minute, the data is showing that there is something wrong. There are 150 shootings when last season that there was 9. Okay? There's a problem. It's showing a problem, right? You don't have to be a computer technician to understand there's a problem because there's a large spike, which means if there's a large spike, this is not by accident. This is being engineered and is being purposely done. Now, I can say that Vallejo is dealing with a gentrification situation. I believe that they're moving people and they're killing people out of they're not waiting for them to move. They're killing them because they're trying to get this land back for cheap. So people getting that EDD money, stack your money, buy some land.
Brother Mustafa, this has been a pleasure having you on this episode of The Rabbit Hole, this special edition honoring William Clifford Harrison Jr.
R.I.P. Pops.
A.K.A. T-Boy.
General William.
Yes, sir.
Much love. We love you forever. On purpose.
On purpose, father.
On purpose.
Man, I lost my father. We buried my father last Saturday. He was 75 years old. He died in this fight. We were fighting for justice and liberation for the people and justice for Willie and all of the Vallejo fallen sons. And he was adamant about that. And he really he was really into it where he was emotional about it, because he was hoping to be here the day that all our people came together and stood as one against them brutalizing not one of us. See, every time they touch one of us, we all supposed to go to that one's aid. But when we stop going to one's aid because we feel some type of way about an issue we had with them, and we don't forget the purpose of us coming to his aid, we lose. We lose our rights. Sometimes we can be like Willie and Ronell and Angel, we can lose our life. So I want us all to understand that the answer is to advocate for our people to unify and organize as one person. Bloods and Crips, GDs and Vice Lords. Put down the red and the blue. Black is the only color.
Hi, I'm William Harrison of the new show Pops and Son. And I want to give a shout out to the Secrets of the Rabbit Hole Media Network. You can find them on Secrets of the Rabbit Hole Media Network YouTube channel. And hey, you'll be seeing me and my son later on down the road. That is, if I don't run over him with this Mack truck. It's all good. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to criticize what's being done I'm just making it, what I want to do is I want to make this goddamn thing as strong as it possibly can be, because see, like I say, every time I hear about this shit, it fucks me up in the inside. And I get all welled up to the point that I get mad all over. And see, and that's why I don't want to be in that motherfuckers that are actually doing the triggering. Mm-hmm. So what you want to do is show this and make it be known that, hey, this whole thing is corruption. See, power, complete power, total power equals total corruption. And the motherfuckers that have all the power are the ones that do the corrupting. They make the laws, they break the laws, and then what they do is hold other motherfuckers accountable for the laws that they're breaking. But in other words, it's that don't do as I do as I say do. So they're showing their power.
killing us out there in Vallejo. The Fatal 14 and them badge bending some bitches out there. You know what I'm talking about? So Cutthroat, Uncle Cutthroat is right here to tell you all it's time to unify and organize under one nation, under God, and to the republic for which he stand. Understand? So I suggest that you watch your step, because they out there doing rituals. They doing rituals. You know what I'm talking about. That Illuminati shit that Tupac was talking about before they killed him and sent him to Cuba and shit like that. So wake up, Vallejo. Time is to lock these motherfucking some bitches up that's wearing these badges that's out here killing these children. Now Uncle Cutthroat is saying, defund the motherfucking police. Quit fucking with people, pulling them over for no motherfucking reason and shit like that. You understand? We're gonna start fighting back. We've been a nice people, and we ain't been getting crazy lately. But everything got a time. And you keep fucking with us, we're gonna get ugly for you. Now that's Uncle Cutthroat, and I'm down. Thank you for participating in the Secrets of the Rabbit Hole Media Network. This has been a Secrets of the Rabbit Hole podcast. If you would like to donate, you can donate at the WillieMcCoyFoundation.com.